Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast. Today with Jacob Magadan.
Dalton Phillips.
After a short hiatus, he has returned to the channel. Of course, we got the big game this week, the one that matters, the one we've been building up to. That's important. Also, want to go ahead and just start off with a recap of what we've already covered. But it's the drink to open it. I've got one last Mountain Dew Voltage, just because finish us off with a strong, the best drink we've had on the channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish the year off with my favorite Coke. This is my go-to anytime I'm going anywhere. That's it.
The Coke, it's a classic. After that, just to really cover what we've talked about all year, coming into these Final Four games, it was an interesting set of games. Start with the Notre Dame game. I think, honestly, I really like this Notre Dame team. I've kind of liked watching them in the playoffs. Again, I've talked about their defense and the ability to win games. Plus, Jeremiah Love, so fun to watch. I think that was a true testament to him as a player. You could tell he really wasn't healthy coming into that game at all, but it was one of those things where like it's the literally the last two games of this season. Of course, he's coming back next year, so that's going to be awesome for them. You just love the effort from that guy. I mean, some of the runs he had in that game, especially the touchdown run, he literally broke like five tackles to get in the end zone and score. So you got to love watching that guy play in that game. Don't anything you want to talk about that game?
Yeah, it was a great football game. I love watching Jeremiah Love. He's just a crazy athlete there. This Notre Dame team is making that NIU team look like crazy good right now. Like I bet you they're sitting on their couch watching this game like we beat those guys
Yeah.
and they're in the national championship now. And it's just kind of crazy that the NIU team beat this team.
Yeah.
And it just like I don't know after that game it's like this team hit a switch and I don't know anybody can beat them.
No, I mean, Freeman is a phenomenal coach. I think he's going to get offers to coach wherever he wants. Everybody in the NFL that has an opening job will look at him. I think there's rumors that the Bears have asked to interview him after the playoffs are over. So that could be a potential landing spot. Now, he has confirmed, to the media multiple times, I want to stay with Notre Dame, but money talks. So we'll see what happens there. Again, I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he's really, really done a great job with them. I mean, look at what Brian Kelly couldn't do with this team for a long time. And then Marcus Freeman comes in here and in 3 years, got them in a national championship. And to be honest, this is a better team than what they've had in those games, for a long time. I guess 2013 was the last one. Of course, they got blown out in that game. So it will be fun to watch Notre Dame play in this national championship game. On the other side, of course, we had that Ohio State Texas game, which was coming down to the end looking like it was going to be an instant classic. And honestly, it was a phenomenal game. You see a 14-point spread on the scoreboard, but that wasn't the story. I mean, Texas is literally about to score a touchdown that will tie this game in the late fourth quarter. And Jack Sawyer, the guy that's been the guy for them in the playoffs, makes an unbelievable play. Probably one of the greatest touchdowns in Ohio State football history. You could argue that with the run from Ezekiel Elliott a few years ago, where he broke off a big 80-yard carry. And those two touchdowns will always be remembered. If you're an Ohio State fan, that is never going to leave your mind. And if I think if they win this national championship game, that might be the greatest play by an Ohio State player ever. I mean, you
I
could
don't know,
argue
man.
that.
I don't know that when Zeke ran that ball through the pride of the Southland against Alabama, that's a
Yeah.
crazy run there. I don't know if we could top that one.
It's tough, but I think with what it means, because that was everybody thought Texas was going to score. They had
Yeah,
just come back in that game. They really looked like they were rolling on that possession. And then Jack Sawyer, I mean, again,
yeah.
phenomenal. He's literally a kid that has grown up in this area. It's the perfect story, honestly, for him as a player. And again, you saw how good Ohio State can be, but I think you also saw some flaws. They had parts of that game where they didn't look so amazing like they had looked the 2 weeks prior. Obviously, they still come out with the big win. They get to this national championship game, but it'll be fun to see what team comes out with a strategy that can beat the other one. And I think either way this game goes, I mean, you're talking about two teams that really deserve it, and we're also talking about two teams that probably wouldn't have made the 14 playoff. So that's another part that's insane. Is in our first ever 12-team playoff, we have two teams that are here because it's 12 teams. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be competing for this national championship. So another really cool aspect of it. To break off from that, I think me and you will do a little bit of talk about our own teams right before we cover the big game. So we're going to switch over to a little bit of talk about first, talk about Tennessee's portal class. Now, you as a Tennessee fan, it looks a little underwhelming. Now, I will say, good thing for Tennessee is they do have a lot of returning production in certain positions. I will say a worry spot would be receiver because they've lost, probably their three or four biggest targets and they lost transfers. guys that were supposed to contribute next year that are gone. To click into this to kind of look at it, I think this was a huge addition for them. Just recently, just happened getting Star Thomas. I think that we watched him at Duke when we talked about him earlier in the year. There was games where Star Thomas was the best player on Duke, and he was making game-winning plays for them. I don't think he's Dylan Sampson by any means, but I think he's a super solid running back, and it will create a really fun backfield with him and, of course, the other guy, if you want to talk about him real quick, coming back next year for Tennessee.
Yeah, we also have Peyton Lewis. So that guy's a stud. He actually got quite a few carries with splitting the backfield with Sampson back there, and I mean he did what he needed to with the rock. He contributed a lot in that Ohio State game actually because Sampson didn't get many carries because they said he was injured. And I mean I'm hopeful for next year. We've lost a lot of receivers. I hope we can figure out something there, but I don't know. We've lost a lot. Squirrel White, I don't know why you had to get in that Florida State, man. I messaged you on Instagram. I did. I was like, man, you don't need to leave. And he did. Didn't listen to me. So I don't know what's going on there.
I think again, the attrition on the roster is a lot. They are losing a lot of talent. They're losing, probably their best offensive lineman. They're losing probably their best defensive line. Actually, not probably.
Oh, by far best. Their best two defensive linemen. Oh,
Yeah,
best three. Every one of them's going,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
And then you're losing your receivers, the four biggest contributors in the passing attack. So it is a lot. I mean, it is a lot. It's going to be really hard to replace that kind of production. And I think Star Thomas is a good start. I think Amari Jefferson here is a good start on the receiver position. I think he has a potential. He's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He's going to want to play for, I would say he's the hometown school
Yeah.
in Tennessee. It's definitely Tennessee, the flagship program there. He's going to want to show out. He was at Alabama, obviously not getting time there because of the team that they have, the young players that they have. And he makes this move, and that's going to be fun for him. Competition with Alabama later in the year. You probably will see this guy play
Yeah.
for Tennessee with, like I said, a lot of the receivers leaving. And then the biggest addition they've made so far in Wendell Moe. Really good interior offensive lineman coming from Arizona. That is a difference maker. He will help out that rushing attack. He will also do a pretty good job at protecting Nico. Talk about next year for him. That's really exciting. To move on past that, I've got a lot brighter thing to look at in the portal. Personally, in the offseason, I think that Pry's done a phenomenal job here. I think that this is kind of the thing he's been able to do, and he's got to figure out management in the games, and he's got to figure out things like that. I think a new DC hire will help a lot. But I've loved what they've done in the offseason. It's been a really good offseason. We're sitting at the 11th best portal. I don't know how we're doing it, but they've got the 11th best portal class right now. You look at a lot of the transfers that they've had come in. Some of the big time difference makers to me, Ben Bell, an absolutely unbelievable pass rusher at Texas State. 2 years ago was one of the best pass rushers in the entire country. Had 10 and a half sacks from the interior defensive line position. So when you're getting 10 and a half sacks from a D lineman in the interior, that's double teams a lot of the time. It's not a position you're expected to get sacks from. So I'm really excited to see him play. I think that, that edge rush duo of him and then, of course, the Eastern Michigan linebacker, those two guys can really create a lot of potential edge rush. And I think even two could be as good as the one when we're losing, of course, Antoine Powell Ryland. Another big addition for me that I think is the biggest addition because of how weak our offensive line was is Tomas Rimac. I mean, this guy was unbelievable at West Virginia. He's been very, very good. He started in 38 games for them across 3 seasons. He's been part of multiple offensive lines that have been put up for the best offensive line in the country award. This is to me the biggest addition we've had. I mean, so does On3 thinks the same thing. A 92 rated 4-star guy, one of the best interior linemen in the whole entire portal. And I really love what they've done from just in the general taking all the West Virginia linemen that were really high rated guys, coming out of high school. I think Kyle Altuner could potentially play center for us this year. And then Lucas Austin, more of a guy that'll, later on in his career will make a difference coming in as a redshirt freshman. Other names that I like, Arius Nash. If you don't know this guy, he was one of the best pass rushers in the entire FCS. Really, really good interior defensive lineman. Again, that's a position of need when we lost what we lost to the draft. And of course, some of the guys that have left in the portal. And then other big additions would be a lot of the DBs we've made room there because you know how much our safety struggled this year.
Yeah. And you've also got Cameron Seldon from Tennessee,
Yeah.
a Virginia guy there.
Yeah.
Crazy athlete. He was a great athlete at Tennessee. He just wasn't used enough there.
Yeah, and I think part of his issue there was he wanted to be a receiver. He's coming in to be a receiver at Tech. I think that he's got a lot of time left to get better as a receiver. Again, a 6'2" guy that is expected to be an outside threat, a position that we lost a lot of depth there. I mean, we lost all of our starting receivers. All four of them are gone, kind of like you guys. I mean, it's
Yep.
exactly what happened to you guys was we lost all of our production out there. So yeah, we'll need to replace that. And then the last big addition that I really love, Terrion Stewart. Bowling Green, really strong power back coming in as another four-star. That's what Tech really did. I mean, this is the first time I've seen them go to the portal and get a ton of depth. I mean, you look at Terrion Stewart, Marcellus Hawkins, running back that come from, a lower D2 football, really good at that level. And then they just added Braden Bennett from Coastal Carolina, who had 900 rushing yards there. So they've added a lot of depth. They're trying to fix that because the hole that they're going to have to fill of Bashal Tootin, one of the best running backs that I've got to watch with my own eyes. And then, of course, Donovan Green, the big receiver addition from Wake Forest. Overall, I think Tech has really crushed the portal. They've added DBs, they've added offensive linemen, thank the Lord, and they've added a lot of help in the skill positions. And it's just going to all be about quarterback play. Kyron Drones, Pop Watson, which one shows up next year, which one performs at a super high level. And just to do a little bit more talking about our teams, next we'll talk about the guys that have kind of went on to do their futures. Dalton, first, if you want to cover anybody on this board that you think is.
Oh, those first two guys are absolutely outstanding athletes. James Pierce I mean, that guy is the like prototypical pass rush guy. He's a third and long guy. He's going to get to the quarterback. Dylan Sampson, you know what that guy's done. I've talked about him all year. He's probably my favorite running back in college football. He's was the reason we won a lot of our football games. And Dante Thornton, a deep ball threat there. And Norman Lott, that guy was kind of overshadowed at the beginning there by James Pierce, but he showed out and showed what he was going to do. He's going to be drafted high.
Yeah. And from what
Yeah,
I've read, he has potential to be the
yeah,
second guy off the board for you guys ahead of
yeah.
Sampson. And it's not because of Sampson's lack of talent, it's
He's just
because of
old.
how loaded that running back class is.
Yeah,
And Omar Norman Lott has gotten really big time looks.
yep.
And this is a guy that maybe somebody really loves him and he sneaks into the back end of that first round. But James Pierce, this guy could potentially be a top five pick.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah. He is that like he is the if you look at somebody and you want to find a D, that's him.
yeah.
He's crazy fast. He's just a crazy athlete. He's going to get to the quarterback. He kind of surprised me. He didn't go crazy this year, but it's because he did so good last year. Look at that guy, 4.49. That is insane.
As a 6'5",
6'5".
pound edge rusher.
Put him at tight end.
He is a freak. I think that is definitely the most talented
Yeah.
coming out of this class for Tennessee. And then looking at Virginia Tech, again, I think we have four guys right here that will get drafted. And then to mention, I think that Jalen Lane and Daquan Felton both have chances to get drafted. But again, this is the four guys you're looking at and saying these guys will go somewhere. To me, the biggest difference maker for a team will be Antoine Powell-Ryland. They're not super high on him in a lot of these rating systems, but there is rumors that a lot of teams love him and has upside to be a mid second round pick, maybe late second round pick. I think that Peebles is a phenomenal, very, very good pass rusher for the defensive line position, interior defensive line position. You could see him taken a little bit higher than what they have him projected as. And then, of course, Tootin. If he comes out and runs a 4.32 at the combine, somebody's going to take a shot on him.
Yeah.
If you got a running back running 4.3s, 4.2s in that range, there's no way he don't get a chance. A guy that ran for 3,700 yards and 77 touchdowns in college. An absolutely phenomenal running back coming off a 1,000-yard season where he didn't even play anywhere near what he could have. If he got to the 12-game mark, who knows what he would have done. And again, I think there's a lot of potential there. And then Dorian Strong, a guy that this year didn't have as good of a season as he had last year. If he'd have went to the draft last year, he would have been a second-round pick, in my opinion. He may end up falling to about the third or the fourth now, but he is a pretty big corner at 6'1". He also has really long arms, so that's helped him a lot in his college career. And Dalton, if there's anybody here you want to talk about.
I mean, Tootin. I've watched that guy play. He's the second best running back I watched all year.
Yeah.
I was closer up to him, so I got to watch a little bit. Those Tennessee games are expensive. You can't get close like I did with the 10 games. But, I mean, that guy's a crazy athlete. I mean, one of the best running backs I've ever watched. And
Same.
I want to see him ball in the NFL.
Yeah, and again, I think wherever he gets that chance, it will probably be in a second running back role, more of a pass catcher, quick back. But you know what he'll do if he gets in the open field. The ability to break tackles is really good there too. And then that pretty much wraps up this segment. Again, I wanted to mention a guy for you guys that I hadn't talked about when we were talking about it. A guy that down the board a little bit that I think a team will take a shot
Oh, yes.
at.
Brew McCoy. There.
Because he is 6'3" and weighs 230 pounds at receiver, if he goes out and runs a 4.4 and not a 4.5, if he crosses that 4.4 mark, maybe a 4.48, a team just sees this guy can give me 4.4 speed with that size, there's potential.
And he catches the ball. That guy will catch. He will get
Exactly.
open and catch the ball for you. He's a great route runner. He was. That's one of my favorite guys to watch because especially when you're there, because everybody you catch the ball and he goes brew.
Yeah.
Everybody in the stadium says brew it when he catches the ball. It's just
I,
great.
I love mentioning him because I think it's
Yeah.
just a guy that has a lot of potential there. And that pretty much wraps up that segment for us. Of course, coming into the biggest segment yet. This is it. I mean, this is the game. This is the thing we've been leading up to. We're so glad everybody's joined us all season for this. And I know you, just as much as me, are so excited to watch this game tomorrow. I think both of us may be feeling a little Irish tomorrow as well.
Oh
But
yeah.
we'll
There's
see
no way
what
I'm
happens.
cheering for Ohio State after all they did to me. No way.
But to get into it, covering stats. First things first, Will Howard has played like the best quarterback in the country in the playoffs. He's been unbelievable. I don't know what he did before the playoffs. I think that Michigan game really left a stain on him, and he said, "I'm got to change things. I'm not going to get picked if I don't play well." I think he knew that Ohio State fans were going to hate him forever if they didn't go in here and win this national championship because you lose to Michigan. First of all, you're not going to be liked, and they've done it 4 years in a row. The stain of losing to Michigan is going to be on his career forever. He can right the wrongs with a championship. You look at the stats on the season: 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns. He's done a lot of his work in the playoffs. Again, been very, very good. Of course, he's got two of the best receivers in the entire country, so he can go to those guys and make big time plays. And then on the other side of the ball, you look at Riley Leonard. This guy transferred in, changed his life, changed his career. This is a guy that now will potentially get drafted, but if he doesn't, he's at least going to get a chance in the NFL, UDFA or something like that because of his heart as a player. He also seems like a really good leader. He's done a good job with them this year to bring them here. And this again, first Notre Dame team we've seen this big of a game in a long time. And again, you look at his stats in the year, the passing, not really the thing you talk about a lot with him. It's his rushing ability. Ran for, I think, close to 100 yards last week. He did it in the week before. It's really the thing that they've done in this playoffs is handle using his arm and his legs to get them wins. Dalton, you want to cover the running backs?
Yeah, these there's two running backs on both sides of the ball that are absolutely outstanding.
Mhm.
Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. We talked about them all year. That's the best two running backs in college football when they're back to back. I mean, they're both probably going to pass the 1,000 yard mark this game. They're both sitting around the 960 mark, somewhere around there. And I mean, great running backs, both NFL caliber guys. And Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. He was injured a little bit, but he didn't show it. Like this guy is just an athlete. You've watched him hurdle. He'll jump you,
Oh my
he'll run
gosh.
over you, he'll run juke you out, run past you. You've seen the 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
This guy that shows you how explosive this guy is. He's just gonna find a way to score the
Mhm.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
And also they have Jadarian Price. This guy was overlooked a little bit, and when Jeremiah Love got hurt a little bit, stud running back, he's that guy that's going to do what he needs to do when he's in the ball game, and he has. He's got 700 rushing yards in the year. That's outstanding for a backup running back behind a guy like Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, and again, they're going to rely on him a little bit in this game when they
Yeah,
need to get when they need to give Love a break or something. He can come in there and be a difference maker. He's done it in the playoffs this year so far. I think that's obviously another key point to talk about. And again, Jeremiah Love playing through that knee injury, the touchdown he scored last week, one of the coolest moments of the playoffs. And you just saw the
yeah.
will to win a game in that play. When he scored that touchdown, it was like, man, he's fighting through everything. He hurdled the guy and land. He jumped off the leg that was not hurt and landed on the leg that was not hurt. He was like keeping his knee up. And it's like, how did he do that off one leg? He's not even healthy, and the dude's jumping full-grown men. He's jumping completely over them. So yeah,
Running through him too. That rush that showed me what kind of character that guy was. That he is, and he's got another year too. That's the
yeah,
crazy part.
yeah. He'll
And
be back.
this guy that showed me that's what made me think Notre Dame was going to win that ball game is
Yeah,
when he literally just I thought he was no way he was getting it. He just like picks up and goes keeps going.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's insane.
On a
That
bum
just
knee.
showed me how good that guy is.
Yeah, again, just an absolute freak
Yep.
athlete. The best player left in the playoffs, other than maybe you talk about the receivers, which I'm
There's
talking
one.
about
Yeah.
now. We start off with Jeremiah Smith. The talking point is this guy is the number one overall draft pick in 2 years. It's not really that hard. I don't think any team has to even think about it unless they need a quarterback, and then that's something you want to take over him. He's a freak. He's 6'3". He is a massive human being. He moves better than most receivers at his size, especially. His catch radius is unbelievable. Long arms, big hands, makes every play. If the ball's in the area, he catches it. It doesn't matter who's on him. He's a freak. And then on the other side, they've got a guy that will go in the first round, in Emeka Egbuka, this season. So the cornerbacks for Notre Dame are being tasked with a very difficult task. You got to man cover these guys. That's what they've done all year. That's what they're going to keep doing. They interviewed him and they asked him, "Are you going to play any zone?" And they said, "No, we're manning them. We're going to cover them one on one." If they can shut them down, this is a winnable game for Notre Dame. I don't think that they can beat them if they don't. If they want to stay in man all day and these two guys are torching them, it's going to be bad. But if their man coverage sticks up and can win them a game, I think it's very possible. And then of course, you talk about the other guys on this team, Carnell Tate, who will be one of their star receivers next year alongside Smith. And then on the other side for Notre Dame, Jaden Greathouse has been awesome in the playoffs, but Jordan Faison has been amazing. Faison was the guy making all the plays for them the last couple weeks before the last game where Greathouse really had his game. And Faison has already got a national championship, won one with lacrosse. So that's a super cool story. This guy could wrap up, and get two championships in 1 year in two different sports. So that would be pretty cool. And then in Greathouse, of course, with the big play, Bo Collins still a little bit important. And then, of course, Jeremiah Love and their awesome tight end in the passing game. And again, you talk about the defenses. Ohio State to me has been very impressive in the playoffs because their defense before the playoffs was not talked about as one of the better defenses in the playoffs. They've showed that they can be the best. Jack Sawyer playing the way he's playing. They have the best safety in college football, and it's really ridiculous to watch the plays that they've been making as a team. They rally to the ball really well. They tackle really well. That's something else I noticed when watching the game last week is there wasn't big breakout plays for Texas. Every single time it seemed like they made the tackle. They kept these big, huge shots from breaking out, and that's what beats you is when you allow huge shots and you turn the ball over. And they've done pretty good at limiting those two things. And then you look at the Notre Dame defense. To me, again, I've talked about it all year. The most athletic defense in the playoffs. They will get after the quarterback. They will attempt to bring down Will Howard a lot, and Howard does move, but not as good as Leonard in the pocket, of course. So it'll be fun to see which defense gets the upper hand. Can the corners from Notre Dame handle the receivers from Ohio State? And Dalton, if there's anything else you want to add about these two teams.
A lot of athletes playing here. Well, one of my favorites is Caleb Downs. That guy, I know he played at Alabama last year, but I've been watching him the last few games, and that guy is a playmaker.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. It is crazy that he can like. I was watching an announcer talk about it, and it was kind of crazy because he's talking about how crazy his play recognition was, and then he got an interception the next play. Like he just like the way he reads the field. He's the quarterback of the defense, even though you said it's the linebacker. It's him. He's calling out everything. This guy, and he's a sophomore too. That's the crazy part. And he's just making, and he does everything for him. In my opinion, that's a game changer. He's a game changer.
A pure playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. He will probably call some big time play in this game. He's done it pretty much every game of the season. He's done it in the playoffs, like you said with the interception. And yeah, Downs is phenomenal. It's one of those players that Bama obviously hates to see get away from them because he's a generational safety talent. I mean, he really is. He is one of the better safeties that we've seen in college football in a little bit. And we just had Kyle Hamilton a couple years ago that was pretty awesome, playing for this team we're talking about, Notre Dame. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do in this game if he makes a big time play. And last but not least, Dalton, here it is. Time to make our pick, wrap up the season. Who will be our national champion? Two teams that I think me and you both wouldn't have said we're going to be here. Watching a lot of these games throughout the season. Ohio State looked dysfunctional at times. Notre Dame lost to NIU. So it's just crazy to see them here now. And Dalton, I'll go ahead and let you lead us off.
Oh, man.
The national champion.
Okay, this is my opinion on this one. I'm just going to say this. I think Ohio State doesn't do anything if they don't lose to Michigan. That's like I don't know. That's that. If I wish they wouldn't have. That would
sparked them.
Tennessee was going all the way if it wasn't for that. That's what I'm going to say there as a Tennessee fan. But I'm going to go with touchdown Jesus here. I'm going to Notre Dame.
And Dalton, I love to go along with you right here, buddy. One last time, we'll let it ride with the Irish. Yep. We'll see maybe if Notre Dame can get it done in this century. They haven't done it in a long time. And I really do. I agree with you. I think that just the heart of this team, you've seen something. They're the underdog. They're not expected to win this game. Ohio State, you can see it. It's right in front of us, 8.5-point favorites. They've been the team in the playoffs. Everybody said they're it. They're winning it. They watched that one game and they said they're going to do it. And to me, it's the team I want to pull for, so it's the team I'm going to. I want to see Jeremiah Love get a ring on his finger. I want to see Marcus Freeman win. I want to see Riley Leonard win. So yeah, I'm along with you. And bring me Notre Dame and the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, I don't like the Buckeyes at all. Can't
Yeah,
stand them. And I know I said that they are the best team in this by far. Like I'm going to be
Mhm.
honest, they are. They have athletes
The
everywhere. I was
talent.
looking at yeah, they have athletes everywhere. But I think Notre Dame with touchdown Jesus on their side, and Shane Gillis also. I
Yeah.
love watching. He's a funny guy there. I watched an Under Armour commercial with him, and it was pretty funny. And that kind of made me pull for Notre Dame there.
Again, like I said, it's the heart. Just give me
Yep.
the heart of the Irish. Give me Jeremiah Love. Give me Riley Leonard fighting for this playoff win. I don't know. I just really want to see it happen. Thank you guys so much for joining us this year. Obviously, we've had a ton of fun with this. I think that it just helps us. Again, I've seen us both learn a lot about the sport, and I would have said coming into this that I thought I was really knowledgeable with the sport. I've learned so much more, really covering these players. It's going to be cool in a couple of years, and maybe like 3 or 4 years, when I know all these players in the NFL. Knowing like, hey, they're from that college. They're from that college. They played, in the national championship. It's just cool to know those things. Also, again, like you said earlier in the year, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think that your knowledge of the college football
Yes, by
world
a
has
lot.
gotten a lot better. I think that you've gotten more into it. Same as me. It's just been so much fun to watch every game. It is one of the best sports out there. I mean, I really don't know how you don't
Oh
love
no, it's not one of. It is the by far
it.
the best. There's no other atmosphere. The NFL. I don't. I'm personally. I know that a lot of people are going to give me hate for this. I don't like the NFL because you don't have the heart of college.
Yeah.
Okay, you go to an NFL game, it's nowhere near like going to a college
Yeah,
game.
the atmosphere is not as
You
good.
you go to Virginia Tech and you feel
Yeah.
like that's Virginia and what it holds. Lanes hold 60,000.
66, I think.
Okay, there's so many like you put that many people in a NFL stadium, you don't hear anything.
No, it's not as
But
big.
people just follow college so much better. And I love it. Like I love every bit of it.
Yeah, I think that the passion of the players is still there,
Yep.
and some of that is really it's just what makes it the sport that it
Yep.
is. And again, we are planning on covering other sports. We'll try to get more heavy into college basketball now. Once this is over, free us up, and also me and Dalton do plan on going to a game here soon.
Yeah.
So hoping we can get down there and get a little UNC
And
basketball.
tell them volunteers to get their head out of their butts because they're doing really bad right now.
They have struggled a little bit. They were rolling for a
Yeah.
long time, and they've
Lost to
been.
Vanderbilt yesterday.
It hurt. It hurt
Yeah.
because that was little brother for a long time in
Oh yeah.
both sports.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see them next year. A lot of fun storylines for the next season. Of course, we're just wrapping up this one. Also, want to announce some future plans. I'm 100% sure, but I want to do some draft coverage as well. So I'm going to start doing some review on some players. Maybe have a list of like both of our favorite players in the draft, and we'll probably try to do a mock draft one time. We might get some. I think it would be super fun of me and him get some guests on here. Maybe, a group of 3 or 4 of us and do a mock draft,
Yep.
run through like the first and second round. That would be really fun. And obviously, as a Titans fan, I have a lot to look forward to with the draft. So we have the first
We
overall.
better hope you get somebody good because if
I
not,
sure hope so. And I will say, we'll be talking about later on some of the guys that I have a lot of faith in. And past that, we would love to cover some baseball. I want to get Dalton more into that as well. Cover a little bit of
I
MLB.
love college baseball. I love it.
Hopefully we can do some of that too. That's a sport
Yeah.
that I'm far behind on, and I'm
I love
excited.
it.
Tech baseball. Tech ended
Yeah.
up being ranked 29th in the poll, and I think Tennessee obviously going to return a pretty good team as well.
Hey,
Lost
national
a lot of their
champs.
lost a lot of their talent
Yeah.
to the league, of course. That's what's going to
Yeah.
happen when you have a championship level team. So yeah, just a lot of plans in the future. Maybe do some more short form content. Not 100% sure, but we'll figure that out.
I'm trying to get him to do some. I want to do some like question Q&As and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but
Show my
yeah,
knowledge.
we'll figure it out. We'll get things rolling. But again, I just want to thank you guys so much. And Dalton, again, anything else you want to add on this?
Go balls, and we've got to get better in the transfer portal by a lot. I mean, bad.
Yeah, I think again, there's upgrades there that can happen. Same here. Love my Hokies. Go Hokies, and of course, we love you guys joining us. Again, like, subscribe, follow, keep up with us, and peace.
Peace.